I want to welcome everybody to the November Eye on Piscataway. We have a very action-packed show. We have a veteran specialist that's going to be on the show today. We also took a spin over to the police department to talk about the new communication system. And also we had a lot of trunk or treats throughout the town, festivities for Halloween. But in studio with me today is Henry Busby, who's the veteran service specialist for the Middlesex County Office of Human Services, which administers a veteran service program. So what is the main mission of the veteran service program, Henry?
Well, the main mission is to, like they have been doing for decades, the county, try to bring attention to veterans' issues, services, and some of the plights that address veterans after they come home. So that's what we try to do, and try to give them information on where they can, like file forms. I can also order forms, help them file it to a certain extent because, and get them in touch with a veteran service officer who is trained in doing claims and benefits.
So I have to jump in here. The federal government always likes a lot of paperwork. And I know a lot of the former servicemen were used to filling out paperwork, as in when they were in the service, but now they're civilians and they still have to fill out a lot of paperwork to get some of the benefits.
Yes, yes. Contrary to, I tell all of the veterans to do not try to do it yourself. I try to tell them that there's that old adage that in court, defendant that represents himself as a fool for a client.
Yeah.
And I feel it's the same way with filling out government paperwork for claims and benefits. Because a VSO, they go through extensive training. They know the ins and outs of claims. And they say, like our office, Veteran Services, Middlesex County Veteran Services, we are not the VA, but we are a conduit for
You're an
information.
advocate.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And we have a wealth of information. I may not be able to do it, but I can direct you to someone who can.
And I think that's part of the battle when it comes to VA services. Like, a lot of times, unfortunately, vets are seeking certain services when they may become ill. And at that point, they may be by themselves, or they may have a spouse or a family member, and then the family members are normally seeking out help to help the service.
Exactly. I get a lot of that.
Yeah. And this what we're talking about is not just for the veterans themselves. It's more for the family to know how to get the services that they deserve.
Right, because that's what we try to do. We deal with, we don't call, we say it's for the veteran, but it's for the household.
Yeah.
It's...
in some cases, it may be for the spouse, too.
Exactly, I do, because a lot of times we have spouses that are dying now who are veterans. And so the spouse is calling in concerning survivor benefits and that sort of thing. So I try to direct them to the proper channels to see whether or not they are entitled to any benefits.
Yeah. One of the things, like around Memorial Day, people always seen volunteers going out to all the cemeteries to put the flags up. Who orchestrates that?
Well, the Office of Veteran Services does operate that. We work in conjunction with the VFW and the American Legion, and we have an advisory council called Middlesex County Advisory Council, Veterans Advisory Council. It's acronym MAGVAC. Okay. And I urge all veterans or people concerned about veterans issues within the community to go to our website and, sign up, take the application to be on the advisory council, because then you have an input into, you can give what you see as being wrong, and you can give us advice on what you think will work. So we meet 4 times a year. We meet every quarter, and sit down and talk about these issues, and we welcome input from all sources. I do advise, if you care, join up.
Well, that's a good thing. A key offering at the Veteran Services Program through the Housing Assistance Program, which is a program you specialize in. Can you speak a little bit about that?
Okay, if a veteran calls in, and let's say we interface with a lot of the SSVF, supportive services for veterans' families. You know, you have a Soldier On, Community Hope, okay, and we refer our veterans, and we try to work in concert with them so we can give them the best service that we possibly can. So what we do, they call in, you know, when moving into a new place, the biggest expense you're going to have is that security deposit. You know, because if you're looking for a place, the average is going to come out at the low end, it's going to be 2,000. Now, if you got a family and you're looking for a 2, 3, 4 bedroom place, that can run up to $5,000, $6,000 for the security deposit. And you know, a homeless vet does not have access to that. So that's where we come in. You know, I will come in and maybe pay that security deposit, and I will ask the other agencies, hey, can you maybe cover the first month's rent till they get going? You know, so we try to set them up for success.
So over the past year, myself and some other mayors from around the country went to Capitol Hill. There's an issue out there for veterans that, because some of them obviously have pensions, that they were over the threshold to qualify for veterans housing. And what they did is I believe that they changed the rule now that if you have a pension, veterans pension, it shouldn't push you over the threshold to acquire for housing. And a lot of this had to do with homeless vets that, after speaking with Mayor Bass, the mayor of Los Angeles, that they had built a new VA housing center, and then you had vets still camping out in tents outside because they were economically over the threshold by a little bit because of their pension. And I thought that was kind of crazy that they were getting penalized because they were getting a pension and they couldn't get the housing that they actually deserved.
Right, because it's based on median income.
Yeah.
Okay, and it is like if you are over that threshold, we are more lenient in the county because we're not under federal guidelines.
Yeah.
We're under, you know, our state and county guidelines. And so, like, we can work with a person as long as it's not outrageous because we want to give the help to the people that really, really need it. Our budget is rather small.
Yeah.
So I have to be a good steward of the taxpayers' money.
Yeah.
So we try to distribute it in a responsible manner, you know.
So roughly how many, in any given year, how many clients do you have that you service?
Say, you know, just to round it out, in the 14 years the Veterans Housing Assistance Program has been up and running, we have helped house over 900 veterans and their families. You know, so I don't, you know, as far as adding the families, that take that number up. But, you know, on a given year, I will at least 10. At least 10 to 15 veterans that I personally have an outlay of money to get them either into a place or to main. Because we also do prevention, which stops evictions. If they have a, you know, no fault of their own, they're being evicted, we step in and maybe take care of those arrears, bring them up to date.
You know, the ironic part is that, you know, with some veterans, like if you're paying for a cell phone, in a plan, you're looking at maybe $75 a month that could go towards housing, but they have to have the cell phone to keep in touch with family.
Well, there is a program where they can get free cell phones.
Yeah.
So we do have that in place as well. I can direct them to that, which is something that I do as well.
Now, for all you vets out there, you ought to call the county Veteran Services because they can direct you to a lot of the programs out there that you may or not know that exist. How can the county veterans share input in regarding initiatives and services available at the county?
I'll circle back to the MACVAC, that advisory council. You know, go to the website, like I say, middlesexcounty.gov, and they have the application. They're online. Seek it out, sign up, and we'll be more than happy to have you join because we do need members right now.
Well, so I know you just mentioned it. So any family member of a vet can sign up to help?
Yes.
Well, that's good news. Do you send a directive out to all the legions and the VFWs?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
We're very, myself, I am Junior Vice Commander of New Brunswick VFW Post 370. And we do a lot of work. As a matter of fact, we have an emergency rental fund that we do from donations, and the VFW allows us to take these funds. We look for a motel that gives us a good rate, and so we can put a veteran up for 2 or 3 days until we get the other services involved.
So you spoke about how you're a veteran yourself. What drew you to get involved in this program?
Well, I worked in corporate for a number of years, and you know, money was nice, but this is rewarding. This is soulfully rewarding. You know, it really, when you can take someone that's maybe was on the street, and you know, a year later you see that their lives are functioning, back on function. You played an integral part in that. It's good for the soul. Yeah. It's good for the soul. And like I say, the VFW, they have a mantra that we do more for veterans. And it's veterans helping veterans. So it's good to be able to reach back and continue to serve.
So as a last closeout, where do you see this program going in the future?
I think it has unlimited potential, but like everything depends on finances. You know, rents have skyrocketed here. You know?
Well, that's for everybody.
Yeah.
You know, you're in the tri-state region.
Yeah, and so like we're trying to get HUD-VASH, which is the veterans equivalent to Section 8, you know, to where the veteran would, low-income veterans would only pay 30% of their income. And most of them on HUD-VASH, you have to qualify, or service-connected. You know, they have a disability they attained while serving. And so like that is, HUD-VASH is very important to our program.
Well, I want to thank you, Henry, for coming, Henry Busby, the Middlesex County Veteran Service Specialist. And I want to thank the county commissioners also for having this section of the area where you can reach out for 800 numbers. Are there any particular numbers or email addresses that you want to get out there?
Yes, you can contact me directly at 732-745-5918. That is my direct line. Call. If I don't answer, I leave a voicemail, and I will get back to you. I pride myself on that. I answer all phone calls.
You hear that, veterans? Contact Henry Busby. There's no excuse not to find out what programs are, especially in Middlesex County, because I think the board have chosen, you know, the county commissioners have done a great job in making that a highlight in the county government.
Oh, yeah. This is the VHAP program is Commissioner Rios' baby. It's his brainchild, and he supports us wholeheartedly.
I know that's the first thing that Commissioner Rios, when he comes out to an event, he wants to know if there's any veterans in the room. So that's the first thing he asks. So with that, I want to thank Henry Busby for stopping by on Piscataway for the month of November. And just remember, Veterans Day is not about sales. It's about remembering those vets who gave the ultimate sacrifice and those that are still alive, and how you can serve them because they served us. Okay, we're out here on this very wet Saturday for our grand opening of the Paul Davis Restoration Company. I want to thank Douglas Bynum right here, and the owner. You want to say a few words?
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to thank the mayor and council women for coming out today to support Paul Davis Restoration in Mid-Central New Jersey. We are thrilled to open our new location here in Piscataway in particular, and Mid-Central New Jersey generally in that community. Our team is eager to connect with local residents and businesses, and we look forward to becoming an integral part of the community.
Well, thank you, Douglas. And I want to know, this is the mascot, Sammy right here, out here. And I think it's very appropriate with the rain today out here with the ribbon cutting. So most people would get upset about that, but today in your business, this is a good thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So with that, you can, Sharon, Michelle, and Douglas, you want to hold on?
Okay.
We'll give a countdown. 3, 2, 1. There we go. All right.
Everybody's happy. We have 360 people out there selling their goods, and I'm starting to hear from people that people are out there shopping. So it's a win-win situation. I already made my first purchase, so we're on our way today to a great day.
I always say that it's so nice meeting our neighbors.
Yeah, and
this
that's
is a
what somebody
brilliant
said. This is the way to do it.
Yeah, I mean,
It's been an amazing day. Unbelievable how many people really wanted something like this for the community. I'm telling you, it's just my idea, but I have to truly thank Jennifer Johnson for making the idea come to fruition, and the support of the mayor and the council. Continue to shop around town because there are so many people doing this. We have 365 houses between Saturday and Sunday doing this in Piscataway, and we look forward to doing it again next year. It was a great success. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today.
What a great day to be in East Jersey Old Town Village in Piscataway for the Fall Festival. Let's go see what they have.
Elementary School for the Trunk or Treat event, and we're super excited to go by and see all the goodies they have.
We're here today at the Piscataway Elks for trunk or treating. Let's go see what treats they have.
We are so happy to be here today at the Embassy Trickish Suites. We are the Piscataway Community Outreach Advisory Board, and we are part of our community where we place different types of programming and intervention, prevention, and recovery into the Piscataway School District and into our different segments of the community.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Trick or Treat. How you doing? Hi, everybody. How are you? Trick or treat.
What is it called? The Health Advisory.
Health Advisory Board.
Commission.
Happy Halloween! Happy Halloween!
I would like to welcome you to our Veterans Day celebration here at the Kennedy Library. Today, I would like to honor and show gratitude for the veterans and the sacrifices, dedication, and courage that they have shown to serve our country.
At this time, I would like to present our comrades and our fellow Legionnaires to approach and show you the demonstration. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the highest respect that you can pay anyone. This is the way that you would unfold the flag, and I would like to very much thank Matt and Howard for doing this demonstration for us.
In 1947, that's the first time it was called Veterans Day. The name was changed to Veterans Day, and this actually became signed into law by Eisenhower, President Eisenhower, in 1954. And with this celebration, I want to kind of segue into the banners that we have in Piscataway, which is our way of, aside from these get-togethers and other small celebrations that we have, is our way of really honoring and celebrating our veterans.
What the Marines did in 1947 was say everyone must be a high school grad to be a Marine, making it a little more difficult. But it's a good thing, because the more you learn, your knowledge you use later. The long and short of it all is I chose the Marine Corps because they was resisted more, and from my knowledge, they was the better of the forces during that time. And I volunteered. My family thought I was crazy when I volunteered for Vietnam and for the Marine Corps. I wanted to say to all of our veterans, Navy, Army, Air Force, the Coast Guard, we're all one, and we should always stay that way. This country is a united country, not a divided. As Mr. Lincoln said, A divided house cannot stand.
As the driver drove us out of the danger and toward the compound, the gunner was bleeding, but he mechanically pulled the butterfly triggers. I was sweating, sore, scraped, scarred, and all 4 barrels of that quad 50 was smoking, and they sizzled like red-hot frying pans. That's what I found myself thinking about in the corporate world, sitting there. That's what I was reminiscing about, but what got me was, what a rush. What a great feeling. That's when I came back to myself. I had a big grin on my face. I was smiling. I was enjoying it. Oh man, what a feeling. Man, what a thrill. I caught myself smiling. I shouldn't be enjoying this kind of stuff. I shouldn't be enjoying these kinds of feelings. That's why I ask, be kind, be patient. Help them to join these organizations.
Thank you to all those served. Have a great day and enjoy the event.
I'm out here at the Piscataway Police Department building, and you're probably wondering what is going on here with all this demolition and construction. I have to be with Lieutenant Ray Pilch here, and he's going to explain a little bit about the renovations that are happening inside the police department, some of the exterior things that are going to happen, and also some of the upgrades to the new police radio system that we installed. So Ray, why don't you take the viewers are seeing right here. So what was here before this construction started?
So before construction, you can see the layout of the block walls here is kind of angled. This is the dispatch center, our communication center. So this was about a third of the size it was laid out here. Probably up about where that column is standing is about the cutoff. So this is getting enlarged to over twice its size, adding 3 additional consoles for 3 additional dispatchers, a new prisoner holding area, and then some new construction back here that goes into the secure hallway where prisoners are housed back there.
Now, we're going to take a look at where the current temporary digs are for the dispatch center, but we're going to be having more and more flat screens for security cameras because we're installing a lot of security cameras throughout our parks and key areas within town. Ultimately, all the signalized intersections will get cameras over time, but it's a first step of having more blanketed layer of security, so to speak, in our community, and this will be the hub center of where all the information is going to be received.
Correct. So with the amount of money that the town has put into the camera projects and infrastructure in the parks already, not having a place to view and have those cameras accessible was one of the needs for the new dispatch center. So there will be a rail system basically that runs the entire loop of the dispatch center with all of the screens mounted with each park. Every location that we have a CCTV camera will be up here and be able to be monitored 24/7.
So right now we do have camera systems in there, but it will also allow dispatch to see in real time what's going on, which to me, I feel a little bit more comfortably about that fact. But it's not a cheap endeavor. It's not. But it's the sign of the times out there. But we're very fortunate enough that most of the money, probably about 99% of the money, came from either federal through Congressman Frank Pallone or Senator Smith with the latest $1 million that we got from the state, New Jersey, so there was no local tax dollars involved, which is a good thing. Yeah. So I don't think there's many towns in the state that actually could say that.
I don't think so. But
but that's where a lot of the federal money that we've received over the last 3 years has gone towards this. And we'll see the fruits of the labor come sometime over summer 2025.
Yeah, so the schedule for the actual dispatch center to be completed is hopefully before the new year. But that's in tandem with the radio project that's going on, which is supposed to be first, second quarter of next year will be physically or completely tested, implemented, and ready to go live, and then that's when everything will be put back in here.
And the significance of that is that there was the FCC, there's been a federal mandate that all the towns had to get off the old analog systems to go to the new digital systems, and we're going to be on a different higher frequency that'll just be for homeland security purposes.
Yeah, there was a couple of deficiencies that not just us in the police department, but all the emergency services throughout town identified with the old system. Interference was a huge one. Not just the cops, the firemen were getting it all the time. So the new frequencies that we're going to is a strictly public safety designated spectrum. So it'll be just us, it'll limit the interference. The new coverage is going to bolster some of the areas in town where we didn't have the best coverage. We're seeing a lot of that now with our in-building testing that we have to do for some of the new complexes that are going up that were woods before. With the old radio system, it was never considered or tested. We have these new complexes going up that we don't get radio coverage in because it wasn't thought of.
And that's one of the things that whenever there's a new application, if depending upon the size of the application, the size of the building, it's required that they have to have a repeater system on their site.
If it doesn't meet the coverage requirements, that they have to put an in-building repeater system in to bolster our radio system.
So the significance of that is that when a police officer and/or a volunteer firefighter or EMS go into a large building, that they will get coverage in a large facility from the radio system. And the big thing was that there was gaps in this, gaps in the coverage, and so this should fill in 99% of the gap coverage throughout the town. And if something needs to be tweaked in the future, once we get the system up and running, if we got to add another thing in, we'll take care of that. But the name of the game is that no first responder should be going into a large structure or whatever without being constant contact with dispatch, because dispatch is the one who sends the medics, who sends the fire, sends the police. So it's very, for their own public safety, doing their job, that's critical.
100%. From all of the fact-finding that we did about the radio system, first responder safety is our #1 priority. So the amount of time and effort that we all collectively put into this system before we even put out the request for proposals was immense to make sure that coverage is adequate for that reason.
And we've worked very closely with our 4 fire districts in town and what their needs were going to be. So this was not developed in a vacuum. It was actually there was a lot of people having input.
There's a lot of buy-in to our radio system. You know, as you know, being the mayor, there's a lot of agencies and even interoperability agencies that come across the river or where that depend on our system. So the amount of work that went into it was really a group effort, and it should be really, really
well,
great.
Well, the key is that once this system's up and running, there'll be more interoperability between different agencies. Which necessarily wasn't happening. And even after 9/11, believe it or not, there's still a lot of gaping holes in the communication system in our country. And this is one of the ways I think the federal government finally put its foot down and said, hey, we're going to have this spectrum solely for public safety. And what they're going to do is auction off the old spectrum that we're on to the private sector. But more importantly is that it'll be just for homeland security purposes only. And I like that idea because in this way it's dedicated. The advantage of us going standalone on ourselves is that we will have room for expansion in the future if necessary.
We'll have room for anything that we want to do, for growth, for interoperability with other agencies, and we have complete control and that flexibility, which is a nice thing about it.
And we were one of the few towns in the state that actually have their own frequency, because we were smart enough to go and get a frequency way before they were talking about this. But somebody might say, well, how come you didn't go with the county system, whatever? But we're still going to be able to speak with the county system. But the thing is, we didn't know what the needs were going to be, say, 20, 30 years down the road, because this type of spectrum is going to be here for probably at least 40 or 50 years, if not longer.
Yep. There's pros and cons to everything that we researched going into it, and the pros of having a standalone system that we have complete control over, and that flexibility that you said trumped any of those other ideas of either partnering with another agency or going on.
We went out to bid, actually, the manufacturer who has the county radio system actually was low bidder to award for us. So there'll be crossing right there. So
and it actually makes it a lot easier with the interoperability because they know those other systems so well and what it takes to tie us all together to talk to each other that it's seamless.
So you got pretty much the larger communities in Middlesex County and this general area of the state are standalone systems with operability to one another. But whereas you have smaller communities out there that don't necessarily have the resources to change over, they married up with the county.
Correct.
Which seems
reasonable
to do that.
Absolutely.
So I think what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick walk through the temporary gigs over at the dispatch center. So this is right now, if you call into Piscataway Police Department, it's actually coming to this room temporarily until you see the construction going on. So Ray, why don't you just give a brief overview? Most people, with the exception of some of the people from the Citizens Police Academy, have really never seen inside a dispatch center.
Okay.
Why don't you explain to the general public, like what is a dispatch center and what is the primary duty? Because you got to remember, there's a lot of people out there that have never seen one for the first time.
So on our right side over here, these are our dispatchers, our 911 operators. On the left side over here is our watch commander. All right, Lieutenant Milo's over there. He's in charge of the patrol shift that's working. So when you call 911, or if you call the non-emergency 562-1100 number, one of these ladies or gentlemen will be the person that picks up the phone on the other end. They will take the call, they will triage it, figure out what is the problem, what's the emergency, do you have the right resources, are you in the right place, do you need us, do you need the fire department, do you need EMS? While they're doing that, it's a collective group operation here. We all work together. They'll dispatch the appropriate resources, whether it's police, fire, EMS, PSE&G, the water company, whoever needs to go out to the scene. Each station, you'll see they have 8 monitors, a couple of computers that they're up working on. One's for the radio system, one's for the 911 system. We have some GIS mapping that goes along with that, so any 911 call that they can plot and see exactly where you're calling from. There's a plethora of information on their hands, and as you can see, it gets pretty cramped. And this whole setup used to be in that little area of dispatch previously. It was a third of the size of
what you're seeing right now.
Yeah. So with all that technology that we try and implement and that makes our communities safer, it needs space. So
there's currently 3 stations right here. So in the new facility, when it's finished, how many workstations are there?
So inside the main facility will be 5 stations like this, and then outside where the watch commander is, there's another a 6th station, and then a separate watch commander area. So we can have 6 dispatchers on it full-time. So basically
we're doubling our capacity. Capabilities there. So when a call comes through, as you just mentioned here, and the dispatcher's talking, what happens with all the monitors?
So there's nothing automatic. Everything is dependent on how each dispatcher wants to operate themselves. So on each of the screens that they have going on, there's one screen for the radio system so that they can monitor and communicate with whoever they need to communicate with. One is strictly for the 911 system, so anybody that calls 911, there's a plethora of information up there for them. The other 4 that they have up is a multitude of stuff, from I said the GIS mapping to our CAD system, a report writing system.
So visually, we're trying to give you the viewership of visualize. So when we're in the new one, all the monitors are going to be elevated up. What is expected? What is that going to visually look like? I know the folks can see the screens here, but what is that going to actually envision?
The three monitors that are up top right there are the only 3 that we had in the old dispatch center. The space was just not conducive to put a lot of screens up there. It was very tight, so that's what they had to look at.
The lieutenant's being very polite here. It was like a cubby hole.
So the plans on the new dispatch center is there will be a nice rail system that goes around to have monitors completely surrounding the dispatch center. And those monitors will have everything from our park cameras that we put a ton of money into the infrastructure for, to CCTVs at intersections or other areas of town that we want to monitor. They'll all be up top so you can view them in real time. Just like our dispatchers can now, they'll be able to modify, change camera views, zoom in, zoom out, whatever it had be if they see something that they need to look at further.
And then when there's like a major, like say, structure fire going on, this is very busy for the first responders and the fire, because all the transmissions are coming through to dispatch. So it comes into fire dispatch, which is here, and then it gets parlayed out to wherever it has to go.
Yep. So every entity that talks on our radio system that deals with either the police department, the fire department, EMS, public works, all gets piped through here. So any kind of emergency situation where we're interoperability communications with other agencies, everything runs through the hub here.
And the significance is that the dispatch is able to monitor all the transmissions going on, because if they're already a step ahead.
Yep.
And for instance, like if there's a very big, large structure fire, they can hear the transmission from the chief and the fire personnel on site to what's going on. And they may request additional assistance or tone outs or whatever they may need, or emergency management maybe calling in.
And I may be partial, but we probably have some of the best dispatchers in the state here. And monitoring those frequencies like that when there is a working fire, it allows them to stay one step ahead of what's going on at scene. So when the fire chief calls and says, hey, can you contact PSE&G for the electric on the house or the gas, they're already on it because they knew it was coming.
Yeah. Well, that's the significance of this. But I know you want to get, I know the PD, I know the folks here, they want to get their training room back. But this was the logical place to put the temporary digs right here. So, but
it was.
So I think what we're going to do is we're going to take a spin outside, and we're going to go to one of the towers out there, and we'll talk a little bit about what's the significance of these towers.
Okay.
Sam. This is one of the new sites in town where we have a 198-foot tower, communications tower, that was just built within the last week. You're seeing some footage of it, of a drone footage taken by PCTV. Actually, believe it or not, this tower was put together in 3 sections, and it's actually held together by friction. So it's just like slipping a sock on each section. There's no bolts involved, which I thought was very interesting. And it's supposed to handle like up to what, 170-mile-an-hour winds or something like that?
It's something crazy.
Well, let's just put it this way. If we ever had 170-mile-an-hour winds in Piscataway, I don't think there'd be anything left of our town, let alone the tower. So Lieutenant, why don't you explain why we have a new tower here as part of the radio system?
The placement of the three new towers, and then the 2 that we're reusing, the 2 current ones. Our consultants did a really, really nice job putting together a bunch of coverage maps to showing us the saturation that we would get depending on where the tower locations would be.
And this tower's significance because this covers the southerly portion of Piscataway, but you have all the Rutgers buildings here, very large structures involved with the campuses here, and that's what was really going to help us out.
And there was something that I didn't realize until we started getting into all these coverage maps of the difference in elevations going down towards the river. And it kind of sits on a low corridor, River Road, that these banks head down to. So having the tower placement here, nice and close to that, gives us the best saturation in this area.
So because of the topography in this area with the bluffs going down, that was considered a dead zone for the radio system.
It was some of the spots that we had poor coverage on with our old system. And then when we did the evaluations of where the tower locations would be, this was the best location for this one to just pump radio coverage and saturation down into the River Road section and then out past the campus.
So the other area where we have a new one is on South Washington Avenue, next to where the Ecological Park is. It was a separate standalone property that the town owns, and that sits on a higher elevation, and that's going to cover a good chunk of the North Stelton region.
That's going to cover a lot. That is probably one of the highest elevations in town right there.
Yeah.
And that also is going to give us great coverage to the 287 corridor where all the new warehouses are being built, because those have a tendency to decrease the coverage just because of their sheer size and the concrete that they're built with. So the tower over there on the higher elevation is going to really help.
So what the lieutenant says, everything along the Centennial Avenue corridor will probably be picked up. A good chunk of it will be picked up. And then we have a current existing tower over at Fire Training Center off of Bakeland Avenue, which we're going to be using that.
Yep, we have the fire training grounds, and then the one that we have at Public Works, so the 2 towers that we're repurposing. The tower up by Fire Training Grounds is going to be great for the section of town over by Possumtown Road, the rest of River Road coverage this way, and then heading into like the Birch Run area of town, and then up along the Middlesex border.
So the Irishtown section of Piscataway. We also have another new tower that was put up, which is going to be a multi-use tower, believe it or not, over Columbus Park.
Yes. So the tower at Columbus Park, there will be no cellular co-location on that tower. It's just for public safety, but it's also going to have the field lighting.
Yeah, so we're going to go to new LED field lighting on the ball fields out there, because we're up there. And not only that, all the towers are all going to have security cameras on them.
Yes.
So we can get the police department is going to get a very large overview of those areas.
Correct.
Which is good because that tower is going to give better coverage for the whole Arbor Newmarket area, which is lacking right now.
It is. It is just based on the elevation of our last antennas that we had at Arbor Firehouse. It just was the best available at the time, but it wasn't the best.
It was only at like 40 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why there was always some things. But now you're going to be over.
Yeah.
It's going up 4 times that height, 5 times that height. So this way it'll help out the fire personnel and also the first responders. So it really is interesting how you see all the footage of them being constructed, how it's just a dance, how this just gets slipped into place. And they had it by the time the concrete cured for the footing. Within a week, they had the tower up.
Yeah, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but they had all 3 locations of new towers up in 8 days.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
Once the concrete cured.
And on the very top of this, they all have lightning rods on the very top. And the reason why they're all 198 feet tall, it's 2 feet below the FAA, because if you go over 200 feet, you would have to
have a light on the top.
Have safety lights on top for airplanes.
Correct.
Yeah. So now, if there's anything else, Nick. Now this site is this is the dead end of Davidson Road. I don't know if a lot of the old timers in town might remember when Davidson Road went out to Mettler's Lane before Route 18 was built. It's right next door to the Coptic Church. Egyptian Coptic Church here on Davidson Road. So this area will be fenced off, and that'll be housing the actual backup generator, the
shelter for all the electronics, air conditioning, backup generator, and room within that compound for whatever cell locators that we take on.
Yeah. So that'll be the same for all of them except the Columbus Park, which is Green Acres. We don't have that, so that's just solely going to be for Piscataway purposes only.
Correct.
So what? This is one of the other things that where part of the federal money that we did receive paid for the installation of all the 3 new towers right there. And then if we see by coverage in the future, if there's another tower that needs to go up to close any potential coverage gap, which I don't think there will be, according to the consultant. But if we have to, we'll look at another tower to cover. Because the main thing is we want to make sure that there's 100% coverage in this new system, because it's all about safety, not just for the residents, but also for the first responders
100%.
Who are responding.
And especially with this tower and the one at the fire training grounds, bringing the extra saturation down to the River Road area. I know there have been a number of incidents where the fire departments in District 2, the River Road, Holmes Marshall, Possumtown have complained about the coverage in like the Rutgers area and because of these buildings, so this should help out greatly.
Even though right now we have one of the towers up on the core building at Rutgers, but because of the way the topography, it wasn't necessarily ideal or optimum to coverage, and this should take care of the problem out here.
Yes, sir.
So so the timeline is now with all the construction. We're still looking at, it's here in November, we're still looking probably sometime, as we said, probably sometime in summer of 2025.
Yeah, so we're hoping for first quarter of next year to have the equipment start rolling in for the actual radio system. That's all going to get staged down at the vendors' warehouses. They're going to actually put it together, program it to our specs that we're doing right now so we can go test it and validate everything down there. They're going to bring it up, install everything in first quarter next year, and then quarter 2 should be all testing and validation once they do the installs into the cars, the fire trucks, making sure that saturation coverage around town is appropriate.
And I want to talk very briefly, so the radios that are installed in the vehicles, what visually, what would that look like if a resident wanted to take a look at it? What the system looks like?
Looking in a police car or a fire truck and looking at the actual radio, I mean, they're all pretty similar from manufacturer to manufacturer. It's just a small little box that goes in the little console right next to the officer or in the fire truck, wherever they have their rack of radios.
And that includes all the handheld ones that...
And the handhelds have chargers in all the vehicles, but they'll go right on, the walkie-talkies, just like you see them on the police officer's belt. A more compact footprint from, as technology increases, everything gets smaller, so that's nice. We save space that way, lower power, so it doesn't draw as much power. But there's really not anything magic in the cars that you're going to see different. It's all the back end stuff that's going on behind the scenes that's going to make them work better.
So, you know, the radios are there. It's not just for the police department and the fire companies. It's also for public works, the health department, recreation has
senior transportation
with bus.
Yep. So
it's the whole municipal government has a band of frequency that they're using. It's not just for the police department.
Yep, that's the process we just kind of finished up today, was allocating all those talk groups for whoever is going to need them around town and getting all those all set up. But yeah, everybody in the township that utilizes it has a buy-in with this. So.
No, that's great news. I'm just ecstatic that it's not costing us any money here at the local level. We're actually getting some of our federal money back and state money back. So this is good. And I think what we're going to do is once the construction's finished, we'll have a read so everybody can see what the inside looks like.
Yeah, we can do that, and then we'll come back. You'll be able to see the arms out with the antennas on them up top. Once all the equipment gets installed, they'll actually look like.
So somebody asked me, are we going to do the old time like at a circus where you grease the pole and put some money on top for somebody to climb up? No, the answer is no. For security purposes, we're not doing that. So, but it's actually funny. But it's amazing how quickly these towers went up. Anyway,
it really is.
So we're going to go back to studio. I want to thank everybody for watching I Am Piscataway, but I want to also remind you on December 9th, we will be having Santa Claus for a live call-in with the children. So kids out there, you have a month to get your lists together to call Santa. So we look forward to seeing you in December, and happy Thanksgiving. It's about honoring both the living and those who gave the ultimate sacrifice to our great country. So everybody enjoy the game, and make sure you go up and shake their hands.